If you've ever looked at my charts and thought, Drysdale, how the hell do you get your charts to look like that? Well, today's your day, because in this video, I'm giving you the full walkthrough of the VWAP Wave System Toolkit, the exact TradingView tools that I use every single day to trade the auction with confidence, clarity, and structure. Now, this isn't some indicator hype video. This is the actual framework behind my trading, how I map value, how I read price discovery, how I time my entries and where, how I like to fade the extremes with precision, and how I use higher time frame anchored VWAPs, their deviation bands, composite low volume nodes, all of it. And with the toolkit, it gives me the ability to put it all on one chart and trade level to level without it being confusing. By the end of this tutorial, you'll know exactly how my charts are built, the settings I use, and most importantly, how to customize it to your style, and then how to turn it into your own VWAP Wave System trading environment, all in under 5 minutes. So if you're serious about trading the VWAP Wave System the right way, not guessing, not chasing, but trading with the actual auction structure, this is where it all starts. All right, so let's get started and let's get into building your own VWAP Wave chart. Okay, everybody, welcome to the new and updated VWAP Wave System Toolkit walkthrough. A couple things have changed in the toolkit since my last masterclass, so this will be an updated version walking you through everything in the toolkit, all the features, how to use them, what they do, and my own personal settings. So we're going to dive right into it. And a couple things to mention real quick. Everything in the toolkit is pretty much the same. We've altered the initial balance slightly. It's mostly just aesthetics. The volume climax tool is currently being retooled and optimized. It will be back shortly, so sit tight on that, and it's going to be even better when it's back. And the CVD oscillator is also being retooled and optimized, and that will be back here shortly. So those are the only two parts that are not included in this video, and I will do an additional video when those features are back in the toolkit. So let's get started. This is a blank chart of NQ. This is a 2-minute chart. Time frame is irrelevant currently. Just want you to focus on the absolute features. On TradingView, you're going to need at least a basic paid plan. I would recommend not the basic because you need some good look back period on the candles. With the monthly VWAP, people will notice that they have improper levels. That's because the look back period on the lower time frames, such as the 2-minute, doesn't load enough candles to do a proper monthly VWAP. So they'll get the incorrect levels. You also need live futures data. You cannot trade on TradingView without live futures data if you're trading futures. So that is one thing you'll need, and you'll need a paid package. We have Black Friday coming up here shortly. Great opportunity to grab a year or an annual membership. Okay. So the basic plan probably isn't enough. One notch higher should do the trick. But if you have any questions, just tag us in the Discord and we'll address any questions you have. So once you pay for the indicator on Flux Charts, this is the website sign up. You can actually go to VWAPwave.com/toolkit to get to this page. Okay. This will just give you all the different features on the toolkit. And you'll sign up will be down here at the bottom. Right. So we have this excellent price, or you have the annual. All right. Once you subscribe to a plan, all you have to do is put in your TradingView username and your access will be activated directly. If you have any questions on this, you have to reach out to Flux Charts directly. I don't have access to any of this. So any support related questions on the indicator will be through Flux Charts directly. So once you sign up and you've put in your TradingView username, you'll be able to add the indicator to your chart. You're going to go to indicators up here. You're going to go to invite only, and then you should see the VWAP Wave System Toolkit by Flux Charts down here in your invite scripts. If it's not there, try disconnecting, reconnecting, and if it's still not there, you're going to need to contact Flux. So this is the default. All right, this is how it comes. As soon as you click it on, you'll have the colored candles for price discovery. You'll see the VWAP. You'll see a 1 standard deviation, a 1.5 standard deviation, retest and break signals. You'll see the VWAP dashboard. You'll see a watermark down here at the bottom That'll always tell you what time frame you're on. And you'll see the initial balance levels here on the right. They used to be on the left. We've moved them over to the right based on request. Okay, and we'll go over this again shortly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove everything because we're going to go one by one and literally go over the entire toolkit together, all of the features. Okay, so everything is not live. All right, so first we'll start with the intraday VWAP. This is going to be your general Globex VWAP. Okay, this is going to start at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and futures. All right, the middle is going to be your VWAP from Globex. You're going to have your 1 standard and your 1.5 by default. All right, what I usually do is I usually change these colors here. All right, I have my specific things that I like. I won't put on the second deviations usually. Actually, I'm going to make this orange. I like this to be blue, and we'll make that blue. Okay, so easy to change the color. If you want to change the style, you want to make them thicker, different shapes, you can do that as well. Okay, so that's pretty simple, right? What we also have is the coloring, candle coloring. All right, and for this, you're going to want to use the second band as well. I'm probably going to make this a 2. All right, so now we have the second band. I'm going to get rid of coloring here, and I'm going to add, I'm going to change this color to blue as well. Okay, so now we add the color coding. Color coding. All right, we have green and dark green, red and lighter red. All right, so these colors change when a candle closes outside the 1 standard deviation. All right, the second color will be when we close outside the second deviation, whatever you set it to. So if you set this band to 1.5 or 3 or whatever it is, you'll get the color change once it leaves. All right, when you're inside the deviation bands, there is no color change. It's going to be default, whatever your regular candles are. So normally, what I do is I go to settings, go to my symbols, and I generally do white on white. All right, so I know when I'm in balance, we have white candlesticks. When we leave, right, so we got red to the downside, we got green to the upside. All right, and what does this feature mean? All right, how do we trade this? In auction market theory, and particularly in the VWAP Wave system, when we're in price discovery, we trade in the direction of the discovery. All right, so when you see candles, green candles, you're going to want to look long. When you see red, you're going to look short. And when we're in balance or white, you can expect choppy behavior or rotational behavior as we're in balance. Okay, so it's pretty simple. Red short, green long, white choppy, balanced conditions looking to fade value area extremes or the return to value. Okay, if you don't understand that, you're going to want to go more deep into the system itself. This is well described in the VWAP Wave system. All right, the book is on Amazon, VWAPwave.com/book to get there directly. I have the Discord. There's a free course in the trial of the Discord. Everything you need to learn the system, but it's based on the system. Okay, so this is all going to be based on intraday band 1 and 2, or whatever you change this to. We'll change the colors. We can change this to 2 or 1.5. Anything that changes, anything that closes at 1.5 will be a different color. All right, same here. Orange and red, blue and green. All right, so you can see the strength of the price discovery and even potential exhaustion if you put on higher standard deviations. Okay, so that's pretty simple in and of itself. We then have the weekly VWAP. I tend to put this as the cyan color, and I'll do 1 standard deviation. I'll put blue, and I'll make this very light. Okay. In order to be able to see this as a very different style, normally I'll also make the weekly VWAP thicker and dashed. The upper band thicker and dashed. Actually, I'll make this dotted and the outer band dashed. That way I can easily know just by looking at it what's what. So I always know cyan is the weekly VWAP. I know the lower band and the upper band are dashed, and the VWAP itself is dotted. Okay, so now I can see the weekly VWAP and the intraday all on the same chart. And now we can also add the monthly. All right, I like to use the monthly as purple. Just so you guys are aware of my colors. You can use whatever colors you want, but this is generally what I do. That lighter, okay? And then I go over here and I'm going to make them thicker. VWAP itself is dotted, and the upper bands are going to be dashed. Oops. Okay. Now I can see on my chart key inflection levels for the higher time frame. And what's amazing is you can see how well these things are being respected. All right, sometimes we break, reclaim, all right, but these are very important levels that we want to be watching. All right, so now I have my candle colors for price discovery and balance on the intraday VWAP. I have my weekly VWAP, my monthly VWAP, and its deviation bands. All the system rules apply, all the setups apply on the higher time frames as they do on the lower, on the daily time frame, right? So we have the return to value on the weekly and monthly, okay? Fade value or extreme, or backtest return to value long, price discovery continuation long, right? So all the same setups that are materializing each and every day. Okay, so this is kind of our VWAP setup. This is generally what I use. I generally don't have the second band visible though, even though it will use it for the colors. I'll be able to see the colors, even if the band is not on the screen for the second band of the intraday. I can see the colors change regardless of where it's located. So just make sure that if you want to see the color changes, make sure even if it's not on, set it to what you want it to be, and then turn it off so you don't have to see it, but the color changes will still be there. It's very cool. So you don't need another line on your chart. You could just use the color coding of the candles to see the strength. Okay. Now we also have the VWAP Wave dashboard, right? You could put this anywhere on your screen, top right, top left. Okay, this is how this works. All right, if price is above the intraday VWAP, this will say bullish. If price is below the intraday VWAP, this will say bearish. Okay, same with the weekly. All right, if it's below the weekly, again, this is our weekly, the cyan dotted. If price is below it like it is here, it will say bearish. If price was above this level, it would say bullish. And then lastly, for the monthly VWAP, the purple, right? If price is below it, it will say bearish. And if price is above the monthly VWAP, this will say bullish. Okay, so this is a great way to see how the alignment is between the intraday and the higher time frame VWAPs, right? Are we in bullish, bearish? Are we full on bullish behavior? Are we in full on bearish behavior? Is there mixed? Okay, and then this is going to be the same thing. If we're between the weekly standard deviations, STD is standard deviations. So where are the weekly standard deviations? That's our cyan dashed. If price is between these two bands, price is going to be a balanced market, all right, like it is here. Now, if when price breaks below the weekly standard deviation, this is going to say bearish. And if price breaks above the upper band on the week, this will say bullish. Same rules apply to the upper and lower monthly bands. If price breaks above, this will say bullish. If price breaks below, this will say bearish. And if it's between them, it will say balanced market. All right, so at a quick glance, all right, I can use this information to see my immediate alignment between the lower and the higher time frames across all of the major VWAPs that we use in our system. All right, so when I see bullish across the board, what should I be doing? You bet your bottom dollar, I should be looking for longs. If this all says bearish, I should be looking for shorts, and then I can use any mix of these for immediate bias, right? And then using the chart along with the dashboard to help me decide what type of trades I should be looking for based on the principles of the VWAP wave system, which I'm not going to go over in this video. I have lots of videos on that. Also based on the setups of the VWAP wave system. All right, so that's the VWAP wave dashboard. Okay, let's remove all of this for now. All right, that's all the VWAPs and how they work. Let's now talk about the initial balance. All right, by definition, the initial balance is the first hour of regular trading hours. Okay, so what's the regular trading hours on NQ? Well, it starts at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it goes to 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, now we have a little problem with the CME. All right, the CME actually puts us as 8:30 to 9:30 as regular trading hours. So you actually have to put those in to actually get 9:30. It's a little quirk with CME data and the NQ and ES and the other indexes. So just so you're aware, what you want to do is just make sure that it's capturing the first hour, high and low. All right. Another thing to know about the initial balance, it's not going to work on the higher time frames. All right. You generally want to use this on the 1, the 2, or the 5-minute chart. Right, you're going to get messed up levels on higher time frames because it's using the candles printed. And if there's a level that's in the middle of a candle, it's not going to print correctly. All right, so just be aware. Right, 8:30 to 9:30 on the actual input to get the proper 9:30 time on NQ or ES. Now this doesn't apply to gold and the other. Gold is 8:20 to 9:20. We have other videos on the initial balance in general. I encourage you to watch those. But this is where you put in the first hour of regular trading hours. Just make sure it appears correctly on the chart. It's going to automatically plot out and color my high and low of the first hour, along with the initial balance midpoint. Then we have our 50%, our 100%. You can even add the 200% extensions fairly easily. Right, you can add, just press this, midpoints, all right, everything you need, all right, to create all of these levels. Now, we move these from the left side of the screen to the right. A lot of people said it's a lot more helpful to see the initial balance levels on the right side of your screen. So we've changed that. That's a new update. And then we have these little markers. Okay, what are these little markers? All right, this is our, essentially, breaks, retests, and you can also extend your levels right. Right, so it keeps going. Align text right, all these types of little alterations you can make. But these are, if we just do breaks, right, that's when price closes above. So essentially, if we go down to a candle here, the 1-minute candle, that means this 1-minute candle crossed the level and it closed above it. That's a break signal. This 1-minute candle crossed below it and closed below it. That's a break. Okay, you'll see this a lot cleaner on higher time frames. Right, break, 2 breaks, broke above, closed, broke below, closed. Okay, so we can chop around these levels sometimes. Let's take a look at the retest. A retest is when it breaks above or it comes below and then comes onto the other side. So, for example, this 1-minute candle opened below, crossed above, and then came back beneath it and closed. That's a retest. All right, to the downside. This is an upside retest. So it came back below it and then closed above it. Retest signal. Came below it, closed above it. Retest. All right, so these are greens retests of this level. This shows you support at this level. Okay, this shows you resistance at this level. Price came above, came below. Right, there you go. This is actually a 50-point quarterly in the middle of it. Okay, so that's how those signals work and the initial balance. All right, I have tons of videos on the initial balance. I encourage you to check those out, but it's an excellent indicator included in the toolkit. All right, we've enabled a volume profile. You can choose your value area high, value area low color, your point of control, when it starts. whether you want up, down, total, row size, all these types of things. So you can see the volume profile built right into the toolkit. We have our value area high, value area low, right here. But mind you, we're looking at structure here. So we see another value area low there on this high volume node, right? Point of control, rotate around it. So I encourage you to watch my videos on volume profile if you're not familiar with this tool. We'll go into how to trade this. That's not for this video. This is just the features of the toolkit. Okay, so we can unenable that. HD means you'll see more detail on a 1-minute chart. So if you're using the session volume profile on the 1 minute, you're going to want to use HD. So you get the best levels, the most detail. If you're using a higher time frame, you're going to turn off the HD. Okay, volume just total means we just want to see the total structure. Up down is kind of the up down volume, buyers versus sellers, same as delta. All right, very similar. All right, this is the buy sell. But I personally use total. I just want to see the structure. Value area volume, 70%, 68%. That's what percentage of the volume is going to give you the value area high and value area low. So this is 70. That means 70% of the volume traded is between the value area high and the value area low. All right. Again, you need to understand how volume profile works to really understand what that means. And then we have our colors for the up, down, row size. Usually I keep this at a maximum just for the most level detail. The more you decrease this, you're going to get thicker price levels and you'll lose detail. So this is the max size for now. Okay, so that's the session volume profile. The composite volume profile. Now, this is a really cool feature. This is a very unique feature. You're not going to find this in a lot of other places. This is the composite. So what this does, and we're going to render it, so it's going to render a profile of the last 3 sessions. Right, here it is. All right, so it's anchoring the last 3 sessions, and what it's doing is combining all this price data and creating one big volume profile. And then based on this profile, it's mapping out the low volume nodes on the chart automatically, which becomes significant levels to trade off of, as you can see. Very powerful. Very, very powerful. So these are some of the higher time frame levels, and then you can change this, right? And how do we decide how many sessions to go back? There's no default. I don't use the same number every day. Okay, I generally do what the most relevant recent range is. Now, I have other videos on the composite volume profile that I encourage you to watch to understand that in more detail. Each of these videos, guys, is like half an hour long. So in order to keep the focus on the toolkit, I can't just do a whole lesson on the composite volume profile in the middle of this video. I highly encourage you to watch those other videos, and I'll put them in the description below so you can make sure you understand how those work. Okay, but this is how you get the volume profile on the screen. Then you can unrender it. Right, this is just to see how it's constructed. This will save you some data, right? So you just have the levels, right? You might go back 5 sessions, depending on the price range, the previous days. You might go back 7 sessions. You might go back as many as 20 sessions. I'm pretty sure that's the maximum. Okay, so now it's all going to change. You can see how they change depending on the look back period. So you need to understand how this works. And just as a real quick, right? Here's price. We want to capture the most relevant recent price range to build it. We don't need data from down here. I don't need this up here. I just need this right there. Okay, so that's generally how that works. Real quick down and dirty explanation. And then if you're still learning that, I encourage you to watch the video. All right, let's go back down to our 2-minute. So now a couple of things on the LVNs that you really need to understand. Okay, this is a developing profile. What does that mean? That means it's currently being built, right? It's anchored here and it's brought to present day. And as price continues to trade, it's building the profile. So what can happen? is that when price trades into a low volume node like this right here, it can start to fill it in. And it might actually move the LVN right before your eyes. So you're trading, you're watching this level, you're trading it, and then poof, it moves. All right, that's because it's a developing profile. Volume has filled it in, and now there's a new lower volume area. So you might see it shift a little bit. So that's called migrating value. Okay, so that's completely normal on a developing profile. If you were watching the intraday session volume profile, those LVNs would constantly be moving and repainting as well. All right, so that's one thing to note. Another thing that's important to note is that these levels might change a bit if you change time frames. Okay, why does that happen? That's because TradingView aggregates data. All right, so when we're on the low time frames, you're going to get much more detail on this volume profile. It's going to give you the tick levels much cleaner. But when you hop up to higher time frames, it aggregates them. You can see how it's a little boxier now here. All right, that's because it's aggregating data to price levels. It might be taking what you might see at the initial 1 minute is 1 tick per bar or 2 ticks or whatever, is now like 8 ticks or 10 ticks. So it creates a much more rigid structure, and it's going to move these. So my solution to this, guys, is I highly recommend you look at these at the lower time frames. If you're watching me on stream with the toolkit and you don't have the same levels, all right, that's likely because one of a few reasons. One, you're not on the same time frame as me. You might have a different look back period, okay, session count. So you got to make sure you have the same session count as me. You have to make sure you're on the same time frame as me. And you also have to make sure you're on the same symbol as me. If I'm looking at NQ, you can't have up MNQ on the screen. We don't look at the volume data of MNQ. Even though we might trade it, we don't look at the volume data. Institutional volume is heavy in the minis, NQ, ES, YM, right? It's not in the micros. So while we do and may trade the micros, we watch the charts of the full-size minis, all right? So you need to make sure you're on NQ, same time frame as me, same look back period. And the last piece of the puzzle is that you might not have a high enough TradingView package to do a full look back on the candles. All right, so make sure you render it and that you can see all of the candles printed out for the proper levels. All right. If you have a 20-day look back period, you might not be able to fit all of the candles on the screen on the lower time frames to draw proper levels. So you need to make sure you have a proper TradingView package that can look back 20 sessions on a 1 or 2 minute chart. Okay, so those are the most common reasons that you might see different levels than me on the LVN. So I just wanted to make sure we address that. Okay, so that's the composite LVN feature. Let's go to the next one, which is going to be the low volume nodes. Okay, so this gives you, when we enable the low volume nodes, all right, this is giving us previous session LVNs. All right, so here's it from this session. Here's the key LVNs from this session. Right, and if we were to draw these out, right, I think I can actually do it for at least 1 day. No, we remove that feature. So, and then real time, so for the current session, right? So this tells us how many we want to look back. So this is showing me 4. I can look back 5. It'll add some more here, and it carries them all forward. All right, you want to be careful with this. You don't want too many of these, obviously, so be careful. All right, these are key levels, right? So if we had, so for yesterday, there was likely a high volume node here, a high volume node here, a high volume node here, right? And there's our low volume nodes it drew based on that profile. All right, we have our current day, right? So that's this session. And we can, if I actually draw a, let's actually get rid of the previous session. So the previous sessions will be everything prior to today. So I'm looking back 3. It'll give me the last 3 days. Low volume nodes. These are these gray bars. Right? You can change the color as well. Say you want them as cyan or whatever. Okay. And then real time is going to give you as the day, the developing profile. Now this is after market hours. So you're not going to see it as well. this will show me just today's LVNs. Now it's closed, like I said. But if we were to, so this is the last session's LVNs, right? If we were to draw out a profile from here to here, right, you can see 1 LVN, 2 LVNs, 3, right? The top one, okay? So it draws them out automatically for me. So I can see the key levels intraday that are planning out, right? This is very important information to know, right? And the intraday session, these are often great take profit points and areas to scalp because this is how the current price action is panning out, right? We have other videos on this as well, how this works, how to trade the intraday LVNs. So watch for those videos. Okay, we also do the retests and breaks as you saw on the initial balance. Same concepts. If the candle goes above an LVN and closes below it, that's a retest. If it breaks above and closes above it, you're going to get the break signal. Okay. Last but not least, what is the row pivot length? All right, this is the sensitivity of how it looks for the high volume nodes. Okay, so as you change the row length, it will make it more sensitive to the peaks and valleys of the actual profile. Okay, the default is 8. That tends to be a really good level for the most part. I usually don't have to change it. Actually, in fact, I rarely ever change it. But you can see as we increase it, right, that might be too high. Let's actually let's go to 12. Right, so we decrease the sensitivity, so we're having less low volume nodes. As we go lower, we're increasing the sensitivity. Okay, so lower pivot lengths are more sensitive to the peaks and valleys. Higher are less sensitive, and they only focus on the most significant peaks and valleys of that peak. Okay, so that's how that row pivot length works. All right, if you want to increase or decrease the sensitivity, and you can always draw a profile and see what it's doing to mark out those levels. All right, I encourage you to draw them out and look at them to fully understand it. We have this great checklist feature. Okay, this allows you to put a checklist on your screen. This is really important if you're looking to make sure you're not forgetting things as you're taking trades, right? Am I in balance or discovery? What setup am I taking? Is there confluence present? More one levels? What's the entry trigger? Did I define my risk? Right? And then as you do all of these, you can mark them off. Okay, and if you're not sure, these are all predefined based on the VWAP Wave system. And you can actually get more details by just clicking on these little information bubbles. Okay. And then you can actually change these if you want to have, little reminders. What's my mood? Right. Tilting. Right. And you can change these accordingly. Okay. So just nice to have a little checklist up on your screen. And then last but not least, the watermark that tells you, what you're trading, text, small, right? Puts it right on the screen right here. The symbol, the time frame. Good for recording or streaming or things of that nature. If you want to share your screens or you're in one of the voice channels, people can easily see what time frame you're on or what symbol you're trading right there on the screen. Okay. So that's it in a nutshell, guys. Like I said, the volume climax and the CVD will be back shortly. They're being retooled and optimized. Hopefully you understood a lot of the amazing tools that we put into this toolkit. I'm extremely excited about this tool. We have over 300 people using this toolkit already that love it and are using it daily. And they found it extremely helpful. I hope you do find the same. I love using it. Saves me a lot of time. Makes it very easy to just look at one chart and have all the information I need to take setups and look for setups within the trading system. So it's quite powerful. If you have any questions, come on over to the Discord. In the premium channel, we have an entire toolkit discussion thread for premium users, but you're also welcome to use the help section. Okay, so for premium users, in the premium Discord. Let me just pull this up real quick. All right, down here, and for premium members, we have the toolkit discussion. Okay, this is where you can ask all questions or talk anything about the toolkit. All right, this is for premium members. For anybody who's free, you're welcome to use the Help Center for any questions related to the toolkit. Unfortunately, I can't help you with billing or your account or access or any types of things. That's Flux Charts specifically. You need to go to their Discord or email them for support. I'd have no access to that. But anything related to the settings or questions, you're more than welcome to use this channel for help from me and the rest of the members here. If you ever have a question on the look back period of the LVNs, feel free to drop that in the comments in the live stream while we're trading. I generally try to cover that in the beginning of the stream. So if you missed it, just ask and I'll tell you what my look back period is for the composite or even previous LVNs. That's usually the only thing that changes for me on the toolkit in the settings. Otherwise, they're generally pretty static. And then once you have the toolkit the way you like it, all right, you can go up here to indicator templates and save it. Right now I can pull up my main toolkit. This is all my settings, right, that I like to use, right, all saved right here. Okay, and then I have another version, the simple toolkit. This is kind of pared down a little bit for, if I don't want as many levels and I want it a little cleaner. Okay, so you can save your layouts up here. You could also save different layouts for different tools. So let's say you wanted one for gold with a different initial balance and session profile on it. You have one for the indexes. So you can easily switch back and forth to your different layouts by using this feature. And you can do this with any of your indicators for that matter. All the indicators, how you have them set up on the chart, you can save right here. So thanks guys for sitting through this video. Welcome to the VWAP Wave System Toolkit. Participate with us in the Discord. Join us on our live streams as we trade the VWAP Wave System. We use this toolkit to better our entries and find better trades. And hopefully I'll see you on the stream or in the premium Discord, traders. Thanks for joining us in this video. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys soon.